Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Salisbury Pride's Diva Talk.
Sponsored by Food Lion. How's everybody doing?
We're glad that you joined us. So tonight we're going to, it's early evening, but okay, tonight, it's okay. Tonight we're going to answer questions that you may have regarding our art form, drag, and just what it takes to do drag and to build a character and that kind of thing. So we're ready for your questions.
Yeah, so any questions we welcome. Just be mindful, some questions we have to keep PG because we may have kids watching. So
Disney.
Yeah, we'll answer any questions that are thrown our way, but we may have to filter our wording.
I wanted to wear something not so low cut. It ended up being lower cut than I thought it was.
So do you want to start by, I think we may have a question. Hi, Tamara.
Hey, Tamara.
But you want to start by letting us know, like, how long you've been in the art form and things of that nature?
Well, I started my stage career at probably in 1985, I think is when I hit the stage first. And that was in Charlotte at Scorpio Nightclub, and back then it was called Scorpio Lounge. And I started I actually did a talent show, and that's what, after I won the talent show, I was able to get on the house cast there. And from that point on, you know, the rest is history, I guess. But it's long ago.
Yeah, so I've been, Amy just asked the question, how long does it take to be that beautiful? Do you want to start?
I try to give myself, honestly, at least 2 hours, because anything can happen, especially like if you have allergies, which I do. A lot of times my eyes will start watering, and so you want to have time to fix any kind of damage that will cause. And so that's basically for I give myself 2 hours for my face and you know, like the first look or whatever. And then of course during the show, depending on how quick it is, you have to change hair and sometimes makeup, and then definitely of course your costumes. But I would say for me, I like 2 hours. That's my comfortable amount of time.
For me, it takes half that time. It really depends on how much time I allow myself to get ready before the gig. A lot of times when I'm out traveling, I go to the bar undone and I get ready there just to make sure that I do have enough time. But from top to bottom, I would say about an hour to an hour 15 minutes, because I have padding everywhere. So it takes me a little while, but just to do the face part of it, I'll say about 45 minutes.
I can do it quicker, but I don't like to do it quicker because, I mean, I just feel like I need that time in case, I mean, I've had to, girl. Trust me, I've gotten there late and I'm like, and have to really throw it on. But I have sort of a paint by numbers too that I kind of invented. So if I have no time to really do what I want to do, I can do that and get by with it. And I've always said, as long as you have lips, eyebrows, and then some kind of eyes, of course I love my cheeks too, but as long as you have lips and your eyes are done, then you're going to be seen on stage. Everyone has their own aesthetic, their own techniques, that kind of thing, and that's great. But I've tweaked mine a little bit, but not that much, since I wear a lot more makeup than I did in the 80s, because hell, back then you didn't have makeup to wear, Maybelline. And then finally there was stage makeup, and if you could find it, you could do that. But that wasn't always accessible that back during that time. So
we got a little feedback.
Testicle difficulty. Or it could be boobage difficult. I don't know.
Yes, boobage feedback.
That might be causing the feedback.
So yeah, I've done a quick job before. I think the fastest I've ever gotten ready was 25 minutes. Oof. But you know, you always have to have a good blend and a good eye. So that's where I spend the most of the time. So I will put my body on first, and then I have 25 minutes to do the rest of this. So made it work. We have another question. How did you learn to do such awesome makeup? I learned because when I started 20 years ago, yeah, it'll be 21 years this year. I could not paint my face, so I messed up and won a talent show, and at Scorpio, and I started getting booked more often. So I did not know anything about makeup, padding, hair, any of that. So my drag sister, Beverly Mon Johnson, who is a fabulous makeup artist,
She's fabulous.
She basically, I learned by feeling how she would apply makeup to my face and watching. And my drag mothers, Elaine Davis and Amber Rochelle, had drag boot camp with us, so we had to learn how to walk in heels. We had to lip sync our songs before performing them. We had to paint half of our face because they would do half and we would do the other half.
Replicate it.
Yeah, we had to replicate it. So it was extensive drag boot camp because we came from a family of professional entertainers, so the children had a high standard to uphold if we were going to be their children. So I had to learn, and I had to learn fast because I started getting more bookings and doing more pageants and things of that nature.
How I learned basically was I painted portraits and drew. So my artwork, the artwork that I chose to do was usually females. And it was usually models from Vogue and that kind of thing. And so I really studied how their makeup looked in the pictures, and I replicated that on either paper or canvas, whatever the thing was. And so that taught me a lot about shading and that kind of thing. And then my drama teacher, and well, I had several drama teachers, but the one I really kind of credit a lot of my knowledge was my drama teacher, Rhonda Reed, Moody is what her last name is now, and she made me paint her. She was African American, and she said, if you're going to learn how to do makeup, you're going to learn how to paint me, basically. And so that kind of helped me. Learn different ways of shading and skin tones and that kind of thing. So whenever you start doing characters, you can kind of put that knowledge into play along with the art that I knew. And so I kind of just draw a face on my own face. So my face is like the blank canvas, and I just put on, what I want and feel for that evening. Or if I'm trying to look like somebody, then of course I draw their face onto my face.
Oh, so you learned the artistic way.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of, that was I didn't even know I was learning that for drag. To be honest with you, it was just for drama and art, and then it just I was able to, to put it in play for all of that. So. Well,
I can't draw stick people, so me and art did not
get along so well. I bet you're good at math, aren't you?
Math and science.
Oh God, I'm not good. Math makes me physically ill.
All right, we have a question. How many wigs do you have?
I don't even know my count, honestly.
Oh gosh. I have 2 tubs and a box full of wigs. Then I have my expensive hair that I keep at the top of my closet that I use for pageantry and special shows and special occasions that I don't wear often because those pieces can cost anywhere from $175 up to $300. So you don't want to wear those often because that's a huge expense.
Mine are hanging in my drag room on hooks and knobs and that kind of thing. And then I have the ones that I call shake and go that I can easily, and I've learned how to style wigs for drama once again. So I'm pretty good with styling wigs, and I like wigs that are movable. So, or, have movement when you're performing and stuff. And so a lot of those that I got at wig stores, I can kind of keep in bags to keep them, safe or whatnot. But this is a Dana St. James, so of course it's on a wig head. And Maxine and Mitzi gave me some really cool wig heads, I don't know, about a year or 2 ago, and they're the velvet kind, so I have those up on top of a armoire with all my Dana St. James hair on. So I try to take care because wigs you really have to take care of. I love wigs. So, and I mean, I never wore wigs. My whole entire first part of my career, I wore my own hair unless I did Maryland and I wore a wig, or if I wanted to have a different hair color, I might have worn a wig, but it was very rare.
Yeah.
But now I can't, you know.
Yeah, I have like a whole
them.
box of wigs when I had longer hair. Like my hair was down, my natural hair was like down here. And I would just slick it up and put pieces in it. And I have a whole box of hair that I could do nothing with because I have.
You don't have any hair.
As Heidi and Claudia said, I went back to my silver whites hair.
Put them all together. Just piece them together.
Well, yeah, I could do that.
You could probably do that and get away with it.
Yeah.
That's like when I used to wear the clips. I used to love these little clip hair pieces. And I would snatch my hair up and then just clip them all over. And I would have one that did the top and the bang. And the rest of them that was huge hair. I loved it.
Yeah.
But Macy Alexander is one that turned me onto those clips. Because she used to do that, clip it to wigs and stuff. And so I was like, that's genius. I want to learn how to do it. So anyway, I ordered a bunch of those. And that was like, when I first came back out, that was my hair for the longest time.
Dakota has to go. Hey, Dakota.
Dakota Ray.
How did you get into the world of drag?
Well, okay, so I originally went out I told a friend of mine that I was trans, and she told me, well, I'm a lesbian. And we had been really good friends, and then we kind of like drifted, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so she's like, well, let's go to first of all, let's go to my closet, because she had some awesome stuff. And then she said, and we'll go out to Scorpio. So we went out to Scorpio, and she was telling me about all the shows and stuff. And I knew about drag clearly, because when Francesca Wakeland won Miss Gay America in Charlotte, that was all over the news, so I knew all about it. I never really thought that's what I would be doing. I was looking more for people who could help me transition or just give me, that kind of information. And then whenever I got to Scorpio, the owner of Scorpio at the time was Marion Tyson, and she was like, you need to do my shows. And so she told me what to do to, I needed to do a talent show or whatever. So that's kind of, I was like, okay, why not? And then, of course, I realized that I could make money and do that as a job, because that was my first job. And not my first job, but my first job, I guess, as me.
Yeah.
Kind of. And that I could be safe, basically, and figure out what I wanted to do and who I was and that kind of thing, and still make money. And so that's why I started doing drag.
For me, it actually started with a dare. One of my friends, OJ, wanted to do a talent show in drag. Out of the many group of friends that we had, everybody turned him down because he didn't want to do it alone. So that left me, and those that know me know I have a big heart, and I'll take one for the team. So I took one for the team, and I went prancing out in some halter top with some hot shorts with a netted dress that went down to my ankles, and some wedge sandals with liquid foundation and blue eyeshadow.
Oh, we all did. We didn't have anything else. You didn't have all that fancy stuff back then, although yours was probably a lot later. But
yeah, and there's a picture out on the internet of that, but I'm not going to pull that up and show it because Facebook would shut it down. But it was a sight. But yeah, that's how I got started. And as OJ wanted to do talent shows, I decided to do talent shows with them, and we each won one, and it
just went from there, girl.
Yeah, it goes from there.
What was your first name?
Sierra Nicole. I never faltered my name. God.
Mine was Brittany Monroe. I went through like 1,000 actress names and people that I loved, and I could not. And that was what I came up with, Brittany from Morgan Brittany, an actress in the 80s, and then. The owner of Scorpio did not like that name. She's like, just use your real name, Jamie. And I was like, but I don't want to use that name. Why? And so she's like, do it. So I did. So it ended up being, my first couple shows were Brittany Monroe, and then it ended up being Jamie Monroe. So then Brittany, I have like kind of two drag kids. One for sure was Shelby Daniels. Brittany Michaels is really right there too, because I met her when she was like 12. Her brother took me there to see her win as Madonna. And so anyway, when she started doing drag, she used my first name. And I thought that was really sweet.
Well, got a question. So the question is, what am I sipping on? Hey, JR. This is a diet cranberry with 2 splashes of vodka. So, you can't have Diva Talk without a cocktail. So,
true.
I'm not going to do too much because later tonight I have a gig at Club Cabaret in Hickory, North Carolina. So that's about an hour drive, and I got to keep it cute.
We'll be sober by then, so.
And I'm still sipping, and I've had this for about 30 minutes. So. All right. Can you explain drag sisters and drag mothers?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. And hey, Becky. Drag mothers. Okay, so for me, when I first started in talent shows, the owner of Scorpio at the time was Rick Wiles. I think he was second owner. Mm-hmm. And he saw a lot of potential in me that, I apparently didn't see in myself. So for me to grow into what he envisioned for me, he paired me with Amber Rochelle and Elaine Davis because they would be able to show me how to paint. Amber was a dancer. Elaine is very known for her drama and how she can pull you in on a number. So I could pull energies from both of them and come up with my own aesthetic. But they literally showed me the ropes, and Tracy Morgan gave me some advice. She said, come in, do your job, and don't get involved in the drama. So with those 3 kind of giving me very, very good advice, I'm still here 20 years later. But drag brothers and sisters and all that, it's your chosen family. If you have a drag mother and they have other kids, of course, they're automatically your drag brother and sister. But like Jamie's my sister, and I have brothers throughout and sisters throughout. It's just who you choose and people who I'm really, really close with. I have 3 kids, but my kids no longer do drag. They're all living their best life as their as their male persona. My kids are London Nicole Dior, Aqua Nicole St. Mark, and Sierra Leone. Sierra moves to DC and is a teacher. London now lives in Chicago, Illinois, doing very well, going to school and living with her boyfriend, Matt. And Aqua lives about 2 streets over from me currently. And I see her every once in a while, and she's doing very well. And they are, like I said, living their best life. And I became really close with them outside of the art form because for me to be a mother to them, I felt that I had to be like their best friend in a way, and build that family, and then let drag just be an addition to that. Because some people become part of a drag family just to get what they can get and be done, and I don't operate like that. So many have asked to be my children, and I have to have a special bond with that person in order to take on that responsibility.
Well, it's a big responsibility.
A huge responsibility because I put Sierra through the Miss Gay America pageant. I helped her claim her spot at her prelim. I helped Aqua and London both at Miss Gay North Carolina. And hell, Aqua almost won one year. So
they all were good in pageants.
Yeah.
Take after their mom.
All right.
Real quick before we do that, because I want to shout out to mine. Of course, mine are all. No, I have 3 and one's not deceased. My 3, we didn't call them drag moms then; they were our mentors. But my 3, and they all had sort of a different role. Boom Boom Latour was one of them, and she's the one that kind of always taught me the how to be tough, basically. Same like don't take crap, but at the same time, don't get involved with all the crap. Toni Lenore was another one. She took me under her wing when she became Miss North Carolina, and took me on a tour with her. And so I was able to get myself in, she got me into a lot of the clubs that she worked at that time. And then Jim McKinney, his drag name was Lila Claire, and he's still in Charlotte, and he's still dear to my heart. He kind of was the one that taught me about all the different types of music, like Broadway music and versus pop music versus whatever kind of music. And he said, you don't limit yourself. You should be able to do all of that kind of music and not just one, because people will put you in a one little thing and they won't let you stray from that. And I was the Madonna, that kind of music, pop diva, and I love doing that, but I needed to learn to do other things. And so he really opened my eyes and taught me a lot about that. So I had 3 great mentors, and so and they teach you so much, and you have to be able to be open-minded enough to take it all in and then apply it to yourself. So.
All right, and we had a question from Michael. Hey, Michael.
About music.
Yes, about music. So that's a good segue. How do we decide what songs to perform to? For me, it depends on the venue that I'm working at. Some venues, the audience only gets in the top 40. Some venues, I can do older music because they appreciate it. Some venues, I have to do a certain type of music because that's what that audience just goes for. So you have to be kind of versatile. And sometimes I will get, if I'm inspired by something I see on the TV or the runway, I'm like, ooh, I can use this to do this particular song. Or I see a video and I'm like, I can do that. So it just really depends for me, because I try to be a versatile entertainer. Like Jamie said, when you first start, people try to put you in a particular box. And for a lot of the African American queens, they labeled us all as dancers. So they wanted us to high kick, flip, split, cartwheel, do all the tricks and all that stuff. And I used to carry on like that back in my early 20s when I was a size 12. Now I'm a size we ain't gonna say, and we can't do all that anymore.
I got stuck in that box too, and then I even learned how to moonwalk in heels. And I would do that right across Scorpio stage and splits and all that stuff. And finally I got to the age where I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. I need to stop. I think I stopped doing them after I gave up Miss North Carolina USA, and I was like, I can't do them anymore.
Yeah, drag is a contact sport.
It really is. Everybody pays for it, and you'll be like,
your back hurt.
Yeah, everything hurts at that point. But for music, I just feel the same thing. You got to be versatile. And you have to know your audience. That's the key. If you don't know what you're getting ready to get yourself into, now when you're younger and you're new, that's what you got to learn. That's part of something that you can only learn for yourself. And somebody can tell you and kind of warn you about it, but you still have to learn it and understand this is the type of audience that, like tomorrow's show, is mainly going to be straight females. Well, of course, I'm going to pick music that they can relate to and that they'll be like, over, because it wouldn't be the same that, the gay kids would probably, they'll be fine with it, but still, you really have to know your audience and go that route. Plus, you got to like what you do. You can't do music that you don't like or you can't get into or you don't feel like that you can convey. You really have to know yourself as well to be able to pick the type of music. And it can be from different genres, but a certain song may not be your thing, whereas Sierra could work it and wear it out. But
yeah, and also know your castmates, because if you have a very highly skilled dancer in the show and you have a ballad queen in the show,
you want to be mid-range.
You want to be mid-range because you want to keep the show as a
variety. And interesting, and you don't want the people to go, oh God, they're all going to come out and dance and high and all that. You really do, and sometimes you have to hold yourself back just for that purpose, like she said, to sort of fit mid-range. So you're giving the audience everything, or at least a good variety. And drag should be a variety show, I think. I've always thought that. It should be different. Everyone that looks different, works differently, or performs differently, so that the audience can get something from everybody.
We have another question. Hey, Justin. What is your most embarrassing moment on stage? Oh, shade.
Leaving it to Justin.
Do you want to start?
Oh God, I have to think. what kind? Like, I mean, I've had quite a bit. I'll give one recent. The most recent one, I was working at this club in Charlotte called Cafe d'Azur, and it had this cement floor, and it was very it was painted, so it could be polished and it could be very slippery. And I was doing my Total Eclipse of the Heart mix, which starts off slow and goes into this fast version, Nikki French. And I had this silver costume, actually the first costume I wore at Salisbury Pride. And it looks very much like a superhero, and because it has bracelets and a headband and all this stuff. And so I'm out there doing it, and I wore shoes that I wasn't used to wearing for that number. And sometimes for me, everything has to be exactly right for me to feel that costume or whatever. So anyway, I did some kind of crazy turn, and the next thing you know, it looked like someone shot me, and I went flying through the air and landed. Now, mind you, I had that big hair I told you about, the clip-on hair. So it was all this big blonde hair, and that saved my life because my head hit the floor, but I didn't feel it because it was so padded.
Oh, wow.
And everyone was like, and they just, it was like time stopped, and everyone was just gagged looking, because they said later, you look like you got shot, like some superhero got shot and you went flying through the air. Well, so I'm turned away from everybody. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I have to get up. And the music was still going, so I got myself up, and when I turned around and looked at everybody and see their faces, then they started screaming and yelling because the bitch wasn't dead. she wasn't dead. So anyway, I continued to do my number, but I was kind of mortified because there's probably another one, but I'm not even going to tell it. That happened at the same place. But it was called something totally different. But anyway, we've all had a bunch of stuff. That's part of performing. I mean,
it is.
You never know what's
you
going
lose
on.
a wig,
A
you
shoe.
fall down, a shoe. I feel, but it's not about what happened, it's how you recover from it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's a show, so if you're going to fall and bust your ass, be entertaining falling and busting your ass. I mean, if you lose your hair,
you can't run off stage crying.
No.
That's not going to work.
But my most embarrassing moment actually happened at my first year at Miss Gay North Carolina America. So I was backstage, and my drag mother, Elaine Davis, had made me a nice little slick back piece of hair that had this bun on the back to go with the evening gown. So part of pageantry is you have to make sure everything is clean overall. So she was burning stray hairs from the wig just so they wouldn't clock flyaways.
Which is good, because flyaways are bad.
So she had just sprayed the spot with hairspray, and she took her lighter and said, "Phew." Next thing you know, I feel heat on this side of my head, and I feel the hair get knocked off from the back onto the floor, and it's getting stomped on. She literally set my hair on fire backstage at a state pageant. So I had no hair. So I had to look to another contestant and borrow their tipping hair, which was Davita. She actually won that year, which it was not my aesthetic, but the hair for her looked good. It just didn't look good on me. But I mean, I didn't have a choice. So I went out there in this lovely red gown with hair that I was not even planning on wearing.
And that makes you feel weird.
Totally
because,
weird.
like I said, that certain look, you know how it's supposed to be, especially for a pageant.
Yes.
That's something you've, either the person that's helping you or like a person who's designed your outfit or the look or whatever, has embedded in your brain, this is how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So you know how it feels, and that when it's something different, you're like,
yeah. And it took me for a while because everyone's like, "Are you okay? You okay?" I'm like, "I'm okay. I'm all right." I didn't get third-degree burns, but
I was gonna say, how was your forehead? I mean,
and to this day, anytime somebody they'll play with me, like Kevin especially, with the lighter, flick it, and it's near me, I take off running. I'm totally scared of lighters.
Well, lighters are dangerous. They are. That's
all right. Other Justin, aka Nina Fiera, says, "Where is the fountain of youth you drank out of so you never aged?" Is that for me or Jamie? Because Jamie has been doing this way longer, and she looks like 24. And black don't crack, so I mean I was born with the gene. But
well, I used to say I have Native American in me, and that kept me from cracking. I don't know that now because of my DNA test that came back. But I don't know. I guess I have good genes. My mom didn't look her age, and so I feel like that, and I've always taken care of my skin. I did that from before I even started doing
moisturizer.
Yeah, anything greasy. Mm-hmm. My skin loves grease. So, but I always try to take your makeup off. But you really should wear daytime cream, nighttime cream, all that stuff. If you don't start at your early age, then before you know it, then what's happened is too late. I'm wrinkled. Trust me, there's stuff up here and that kind of stuff. And when I feel like I need some kind of work, I guess I'll eventually get it. I don't know. But I don't feel too much like Baby Jane Hudson or anything right now. So, but that's.
But also your youthfulness, for me, it comes from within. You're only as old as you feel.
True.
And, I'm going to be 75 with the walker, still thinking I'm 34 and can party with the 20-year-olds and turn up at the nursing home and get put out. That's probably what's going to happen.
And plus, you have to also love what you do. I mean, I will say this till the very end. I love performing, and that's something that I never even thought I would even like until I got involved with drama in high school, and then in the performing aspect, because I was behind the scenes in the beginning, and when I started performing, I was like, oh my God, this is such a release. And it's just, and then when you see people smile and enjoy what you're doing, that makes it even more, that's like food, that feeds that desire to make people happy and make yourself happy. So, I mean, if I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. Trust me. I mean, seriously. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. You really have to love what you do.
All right. Another question. How do you find your costume and shoes? Bigfoot over here. I wear a size 12 in women's. So there are some stores like Shoe Show that carries those that have a nice size foot. But a lot of times I order it online. Shoes can go up. I've seen like size 15 in women's.
I was going to say 14, 15.
But yeah, I'm usually around 12. I can wear an 11 because I have a narrow foot. Just depends on if it's a normal 11 or a small 11, which is like an 8. So costuming, I used to could buy some things off the rack and try to dress it up, but that's not for me. That's really not what drag is. I can buy some tipping things off the rack, but as far as stage clothing, I feel my persona as Sierra, since Tony is kind of quiet and reserved, Sierra likes a lot of jewelry, big hair, flashy costumes, to feel like $1 million. So those things I have to have custom made. And usually custom made costumes, by the time you add in fabric, supplies and labor for someone to make them, if you cannot sew yourself, which I cannot sew myself, you can spend anywhere from $300 to $600, $700, $800 or more for a costume, especially when it comes to pageantry. Yeah, if to have a good solid package at like a national pageant, you can spend anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 and even more, because you have dancers, you have expensive evening gowns, creative costumes in some systems. So it just really all depends. But yeah, I have to have my custom made.
For me, I started at a time where, like, I recently, Tiffany Bonet and Sade Ross and some of the girls that started around the time I did, we've laughed about back in the day, whenever we first started, we really didn't, there wasn't that many people making costumes, so you really had to rely on getting it in some store and doing your own thing to it or whatever, or unless you could sew, you sewed yourself. But we used to do swimsuits, so like you had a purple swimsuit where we'd have red earrings, red gloves, and red pumps. And that was our dance costume, and didn't do anything to it. But in the 80s, people wanted you to look like MTV anyway, so it kind of worked to our advantage. They wanted to see the videos come off onto the stage. So you had to replicate what your favorite person did. And if you did a character, then you wanted to wear what she wore or anything close to it. So it doesn't bother me to get stuff like that and do my own thing to it, but I do prefer to have someone else sew for me because I hate sewing for myself. And I can sew, but I'd rather just repair and maybe make some accessories, that kind of thing, but I'd rather get it from, and there's a lot of people that sew out there. I mean, of course, Bear Tracks, Jeff Willis, Jeff Coble, oh God, I know there's more people and I can't, my brain.
Bang Bangladesh, Andre Vincent Rodriguez, who else?
Emily Michaels.
Gypsy Star has done some of my stuff.
She's been doing it for years.
Lola Lovelace, Jessica Rainstar, aka Shane Kinley.
And Shane's getting ready to have his own fashion line recently.
Yeah, so watch out for him.
Back in the day, it was Cletus Neron, but also there was a guy from Charlotte named Chuck who lives in Asheville, and he's a designer, and he's got his own studio and everything, and he did some really cool stuff for me. So, you just have to find the right people, and the people that are into the drag scene that are willing to make clothes for the queens. I mean, you could find some. I've found women that could sew.
Yeah.
And said, sure, I'll be glad to do it. So, I mean, it's just you got to find the right people, that can convey what you want.
Yes. And for me, I live as a male, so for me to go to someone outside of the art of female impersonators, they have to understand that at the end of the day, I'm a boy fitting into a lady's dress. So some of these measurements are not going to be your standard size.
Sure.
16 or whatever the case may be.
But it seems just they should be good with that.
Yes.
I mean, like they can kind of tell you what you are in women's clothing,
Yeah.
where your measurements stand, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, but I know what you're saying. It is sometimes not as comfortable. Hey, Miss Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
So what's your favorite part about drag and what's your least favorite part?
My favorite part is seeing smiles on the audience faces, because we all have things going on in our life to where sometimes we just want to get out, have a good time, and not even worry about work or relationships or whatever the case may be, whatever trauma you have going on in your life. So to be able to hear comments from other people or get Facebook messages saying, I really appreciate your performances because I'm going through this, that, and the other, and you really helped me overcome that and get through it. That's what it's about for me.
I think the same thing, and that's definitely what it's about.
Yeah, that makes it real special because anybody can get out there and do drag and collect $1, and it's what goes in behind it. Like, I realize that you're tipping me a hard-earned dollar that you worked for. And yes, I'm out here working for that, but you took the time and the effort to reach into your pocket to hand me that $1.
And they didn't have to give that money.
Yeah, and I'm very appreciative of that. So, not to say that I do this for tips or whatever the case may be, but the big rewarding for me is the gratitude.
But that's their way of showing you appreciation.
Yeah.
That's their personal way to show you. I mean, yes, what they say and tell you is the biggest part, but that's just as much a part of them liking you and appreciating what you do is that part.
Yeah.
I think I love all that, and that's like my favorite part too. That's why I do it. The part I hate, I think, is the getting out of it and the day after and having to get yourself, trying to get that energy back to, because drag to me is it rejuvenates me. After my week job, I'm beat, but then all of a sudden it gives me this energy that I don't even know where it comes from. Like when I got here a while ago, MJ's like, sit down. I said, girl, no, I can't sit down. I was pacing back and forth and going back and forth because I didn't want to sit because I had so much energy that I knew I needed to burn off, which I'm going to burn off tomorrow as well. But that lull is the part that I hate. But I love the camaraderie of the entertainers and most definitely the crowd. The crowd is where it's at, and if it weren't for the crowd, you wouldn't be doing this. And back in the day, I always said that we were the court jesters of the gay community because A lot of it was kept in just the gay bars. So we didn't have, the stuff on TV. We didn't have the restaurants that were doing shows. And so it was like everything was done at the gay bars. And if you didn't go to the gay bars, you didn't see it. So we literally our job was to entertain those people at that gay bar. And it wasn't always the easiest thing, because you know how gays can be very critical, and they can also be very jaded in what they have seen. And, and so that was your job. And if you couldn't do it, you wouldn't be performing, and you surely wouldn't have longevity.
True.
So, but that's where it's at, is to make those people that come to the bar that pay to see you happy. That's what your job is.
Yes. And for me, one thing that I hate is drama, because I don't get involved in it, because I feel I have so much going on in my own personal life, and I'm here to do a job, and nobody wants to go to work when there's full of drama. Like, you wouldn't want to go to your 9 to 5 every day if there is drama. Like, save that for somewhere else. Check that at the door. Yeah. Once you cross that threshold, we have a job to entertain an audience.
Yeah.
So I don't get involved in the bickering, the back and forth, because people will try to bring you out of your character consistently. And sometimes you just have to bite that tongue so much you bite a hole through it. But, the right person may be watching what you're going to do and what you're going to say. Yeah. So you always have to keep that in your mindset, because I will get in that car and then I will let loose, but I'm not going to do it within the 4 walls of that establishment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the drama is awful, and it's just uncomfortable, and really life's too short to have to deal with that kind of stuff, and that shows me that those people do not enjoy what they're doing, or they wouldn't be. True. I mean, that's the last thing on my mind when I'm trying to perform. I'm trying to think of this, that, and the other. And as Tracy knows, like, certain places, you only have 2 minutes to get your whole look changed. And, there might be just you and one other person in the show. You don't have 3 or 4 people that you can, rely on their time on stage to help yourself get ready. So I don't have time for all that crap. I've got to get this bitch ready here that I've created, so she can look like something and do what she's supposed to do. So I totally agree. I hate drama.
All right. Hey, Rodney, we miss you.
Rodney.
When you aren't doing characters, who do you look for in style, makeup, fashion inspirations? That's a really good question. For me, it's like award shows. Like, I really watch the performances in award show, because in a video, you create these outlandish costumes and you do all this, but they may not be functionable. If I'm looking for something functionable, it's going to be at an award show where I actually see somebody moving and performing in it. So I gained some inspiration from live award shows and red carpets and things of that nature.
I probably base mine on, I love some lips. So it's going to be the whole siren from the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, the bright lips. And I always try to play up my green eyes, because I feel like that's, something different I have. A lot of people have them. But so anyway, I just try to, do what I think makes my features stand out. But for some reason, I love like the makeup they used to do on Deborah Harry, and like for her eyes and stuff, and some of the older like 80s periods, that kind of thing. But I've kind of tweaked it to sort of fit in today. But I think classic makeup is classic, just like classic fashion. It's never really going to go away, and what's right for you may not be right for the other person that's beside you, and she might even look like you, but that's it's what you feel is right for you, for sure.
That is true. How long will you keep a number before you retire it?
Never. That's a good one. Never.
Yeah.
I like to let it sit for a while, but I do costumes that way too sometimes, but I'll never completely retire it.
Yeah, I'll take a set on tour. Like if there's a song and I've got a cute little costume for it and it's a song that I can feel, I will take her on tour. And then once tour is over, I'm like, okay, I need to put her away for a little bit until, I go to a new venue, then I'll pull her right back on out. So I don't never really get rid of anything. And a lot of stuff, there's a lot of good music out there. And there's a lot of things that I can hear and be like, oh my God, I forgot about that. But again, this goes back to knowing your audience, because you can't do, a golden oldie at somewhere they do top 40s. Because one night at Scorpio, I did Brandy's What About Us. I brought that back. It's one of my favorite songs that she's done. And I had a patron come up and ask me, who's that first artist you did? I said, Brandy. Well, who's that? I'm like, are you serious? And he was dead serious. He did not know who Brandy was. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So I may have told my age a little bit there. I don't know. But
you're fine. You're younger than me.
I'm like, everybody knows, like, Brandy, The Boy Is Mine, and Sitting Up in My Room, and all that good stuff.
Oh, gosh.
JR asks, where's your favorite place to perform?
That's no longer, or that's still here, or in Lifetime, or what? Break it down a little bit.
For me, I honestly like smaller, intimate bars because I can be more personable with the patrons. I can, interact with them more. I like big clubs too, but sometimes at big clubs, there's so many people and it's so much going on that you don't have time to really interact. So depending on the show format, you have to do it and keep it moving. But yeah, I like the more intimate crowds where, you have time to really like show your appreciation for those that are tipping you, and you can go and chill out at the bar, have people come talk to you. Just spend one-on-one kind of quality time, because sometimes people are shy. They won't tip you during the show, but you could be sitting at the bar having a drink, and then here rolls in $25 from some person that said, I didn't get to tip you in the show because scared to go out on stage. But that was a true story that did happen to me. So just really getting to know those people on an intimate level for me.
I like that too. I like clubs where the audience makes you feel like a star. I mean, that's what gives me that extra boost to do what I got to do. And I mean, one of my favorites in past time that's no longer is the Power Company of Durham, and XTC nightclub in Greensboro. But I love certain cities like Asheville. I love Scandals. It's something about that. And I worked there since the 80s, and it's always been the same. It's such a live, just you feel like you're somebody out in concert, and those people are living for it. And that's my food for me. Like, I don't want people sitting there going, like, what the hell is she doing? That doesn't make you feel good, and that surely doesn't make you want to stay out on stage, but you have to. But places like that, oh my God, in Greenville, North Carolina, same thing. Their audience is the same as Asheville. They're just so into what's happening, and what if you give them what you feel, and they're gonna love it. So that's where at Raleigh, at Legend, same thing. And it's always been like that from back when it first started till now. It's like amazing audiences, and I mean that's what we're out there for, is for the audience. So if the audience is getting into it, that's where I want to be.
Yes, because I feed off the audience. So the more love from the audience, I might be willing to wake up with a sprained ankle or a torn hamstring, or laid up in a hospital bed the next day, just because y'all were feeling it, y'all had great energy, and then once adrenaline kicks in, that flips off my safety indicator.
Oh, yeah,
so I don't know.
And you don't feel crap when it happens.
And God forbid a lemon drop happens.
Oh yeah.
All right. Why do you think drag is so inspirational and loved in the LGBTQ community?
Well, I think, for one, like I said earlier, it was the entertainment that if you're going to a gay bar, that's what you're going to see. And that's just, there's a lot of gay people that wasn't into drag. I mean, I remember that even back in the 80s. But the majority of them, they sort of look up to the queens as sort of the leaders of the whole LGBTQ, back in the day, we called it the gay community movement, because we were sort of out front because we had I would say the guts or the whatever to be out front and saying, look at us, here we are. Yeah, I know it doesn't always, the community's not all about drag always, but we were sort of what let them feel comfortable. We gave them things to make them feel comfortable, make them feel welcome, make them feel at ease, and whether it be on stage or off stage. And I feel like that like we're the court jesters, but we're also sort of the leaders in the forefront. And I mean, a lot of the movements started with drag queens or trans queens or whatever. I mean, there's so many different ones that got started because of that. And I mean, there's plenty of people that don't like drag. There's plenty of people that don't like drag queens. I mean, trust me, I know there was doors that wouldn't even allow drag back in the 80s. And so, there's always that. But I think the majority of the people can come in and sort of forget. We make them forget their troubles, like you said earlier. And I think that's where a lot of it started and still continues. That we're at the forefront and the leaders.
And I think too that we have a voice and a platform. So using that to help others and help the community in whatever it may be, whether it's a canned food drive or you're supporting someone else in the community who has failed to illness or, is going through a tough time.
AIDS. I mean, when AIDS came out, we first hit the scene and everyone was like, what the crap's going on, and we never had any support from the government, and everyone thought it was just a gay thing and whatever. There were people dying left and right, and the drag queens had to do the AIDS benefits to make money for a specific person. And back then there weren't even really groups that were helping people. I mean, we had some eventually, and thank God for those groups. But like in the beginning, it was just like, oh my God, John's dying over here, and his family's turned their back on him, and has nowhere to be or nowhere to go, and he's dying. What do we do? What can we do for him? So we got together and did drag, and we did a show, and everyone came out to see it, and everyone donated, and we made good money for those people. So that's it. Drag queens have always done charity work, and that's a huge part of it, and that's an amazing part of it, to be able to do that for whatever the cause is.
And for me to also, as far as pageantry is concerned, you do have a platform if you are a title holder of a specific level to not only help brand that pageant, but also use that platform to strengthen your community. Oh, we got a question, Joseph. As queens who have been performing for a while and having seen trends come and go, what are your thoughts on new drag and the pre-RuPaul Drag Race old school drag? I came from old school drag, so I tried to model after that, like the big hair, the feathers, the gaudy jewelry, the whole transformation, boobs, hips, tights, stockings, all of that. Drag is an art, so the kids are now expressing themselves in various forms. I'm not going to knock them for what they do from being different than what I do. They can actually teach me something.
Oh, yeah. Like the club kids.
Yeah, like the club kids.
I guess they're still around, but that movement was big in the 90s.
Yeah, and some of it, I know it's not my aesthetic and not what I have branded Sierra as, but I do appreciate what they do because that adds to our spectrum of our art form. So to each their own.
I think everybody should be able to do it. We have room for everybody, and everyone should be able to be themselves. You don't have to be like somebody else, and everyone's got something to offer. And I learned from God when I came back out in 2008. I was like, there's pictures. I have hardly any paint on. It was like, oh God, why did you not wear makeup? So I don't know why I reverted back to the 80s instead of the 90s, because 90s we wore paint. But anyway, so I was like, oh God. So I started looking around and watching these young kids and realizing what was going on. So I thought, okay, well, I can tweak myself and make that happen. But I learned a lot of stuff from these young kids. I'm sure they learned stuff from me from being the old bitch, but still, you know, we learn from each other. That's part of it.
Yeah, and makeup is one thing that's ever evolving.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, there's some things that, you know, everybody can tweak and do stuff different, because as I've heard so many times, if it's not evolving, it's dead.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of keep yourself up to date and, you know, mold with the times. But we had our time.
Yeah, I think it's 6 o'clock, right? 6:03 to be exact. So we've come to the end of our Salisbury Pride Diva Talk, sponsored
by Food Line. So we, again, thank you for tuning in. You know, I have to push Powder Puff to get ready for my next gig up in Hickory, North Carolina. So if you're in that area of the 828, I believe it is, please come up and see the show at the Cabaret. It's going to be a good show. I cannot wait.
I'm going to strike the set when I'm done here. And then I've got to drive to Greenville, North Carolina. So I'll be rested and ready for a brunch tomorrow in Greenville. And it starts at like 11 o'clock. You have to look at my, I think it's called the Starlight Cafe in Greenville. And I've never worked there, so it's a new venue for me, so I'm excited. Michelle Michaels is the hostess and the girl that's behind it, and she always has fabulous shows that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of, so I know it's going to be a lot of fun. Cassandra Hilton's going to be with us, so it's good to see. I haven't seen Cassandra in a while.
She's actually in Hickory tonight at the other club.
Yes. Oh, she is. You're right.
We're supposed to.
Okay.
So Cassandra, if you're watching, call me, girl.
Yes, well, I'll see you tomorrow morning, Cassandra. It's going to be fun. So anybody in the Greenville, Eastern North Carolina area, come out to the Starlight Cafe and tomorrow. And I think seating starts at 10, shows at 11, the first show, the second show. But you know what? Actually, both of them are sold out. I just thought about that. So you really can if you haven't bought a ticket. You may not be able to get in there. But anyway.
But if you want to see Jamie and I in live action, we're together again next Saturday. At the Hideaway in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
So our home bars, and we love performing there.
Yes, so come.
Make sure we say that, because we wouldn't perform there if we didn't love performing there. So it sort of kind of goes without saying, I guess, because we're there so much. I think people would get that.
Yeah.
Those bitches like that place, but it's an iconic bar that's been around for 30 plus years. So,
yes.
You know, they're doing something right, clearly.
So definitely check us out. You'll see us live and in action, and we'll have all the glitz, the glam, the costumes, and everything we've talked about during this whole past hour you'll get to see on stage.
And hopefully we won't do any of the most embarrassing moments.
Yes, we are not repeating that.
Hopefully not.
But if you do and something does happen, like a wig goes left and our body goes right, just throw us a 20.
Yeah, and remember it for the next time we do this, so you can say, do you remember the time when y'all were together? And then remind us so we can kiki about it. Mm-hmm. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys, and thanks for all the great questions. We hope that we could enlighten you for here at Diva Talk for drag and everything that goes into becoming a drag queen. So we will see you. Hopefully, we may see you again. You never know. We might do this again.
Yeah. So if you want a part 2 or a sequel, then definitely let us know in our Salisbury Pride mailbox.
Yeah.
On our Facebook page, like, love, share the live video if you're on that, or share our YouTube channel and tune in to other events that we have. But if you like part 2, let Jamie and I know. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a special guest or something.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Love y'all.
She's asking, who turns it off?